Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We come to you tonight after Game 2 of the World Series on the Mike Francesa channel on the Bet Rivers Network on YouTube. And now the Yankees have as they get ready to fly home, have dug themselves a very deep hole. You know, before this series began, we talked about that neither team was great during the regular season and that the Yankees had many erratic moments. So their play being erratic is not surprising. But the Yankees' edge was in the starting pitching, and they had to use that edge against this Dodger team. And right now, after 2 games, the Dodgers have outpitched the Yankees. Last night, Flaherty made one mistake. Cole pitched very well. Tonight, Yamamoto was superb and Rodon was bad. So the Yankees have not won the starting pitching battle. If they don't win the starting pitching battle, it's very hard to see them winning against a team that is deeper than them and has a deeper bullpen than they do. I do think that what you saw in the 9th inning tonight is something that will carry over. I think there is a residual value of that. He's their best reliever. They got to him. I thought that was key. Okay. You knew that Volpe was going to have to hit a breaking ball. Listen, he hits fastballs well. He does not hit breaking balls well. There are a lot of players in the major leagues that way, and right now he's extremely vulnerable. Also, you have the Judge issue. Now, there's a lot of things to get to here. First of all, a little history. The Yankees and the Dodgers in 78 and 81, the team that took 2-0 leads lost the series. In 78, the Yankees got down 2-0, lost the first 2 games in L.A. They came home for Game 3, and let's be honest, you have to win Game 3. Right now, there is a Netflix 3-part series that the Barnacle kids, I shouldn't call them kids, the Barnacle guys did, that I worked on with them this summer, called The Comeback, about the Red Sox comeback. That's the only time in baseball history that a team has come from 3-0 down. So don't expect to do that. Game 3 is pivotal. You know that Joe Torre, if you listen to him with us all those years, thought Game 3 was always the biggest game in any series. No matter how it shook out, he always thought Game 3 was the biggest. Yankees have to win Game 3. Buehler's not been good. They go with Schmidt, okay? You don't know what you're going to get from him. We'll see. They have to pound early and often, and they have to win this game. Now, in 78, they had Guidry going in Game 3. They win the game 5-1. They win the series in 4 straight games. In 81, the Dodgers lose the first 2 games. They go home to L.A. I don't know if you remember that game. That's the game Fernando Valenzuela won 5-4. Dodgers won 3 straight 1-run games in that series. They won 4 in a row. So in 78, the Yankees lost the first 2 games and won 4 in a row. And 81, the Dodgers lost the first 2 games and won 4 in a row. In Game 3, it was Guidry at Yankee Stadium. In Game 3, it was Fernando on Yankee Stadium. And that was a game where the Yankees had the lead. They had Fernando on the ropes. They didn't get the guys across. Bobby Brown blew a ball in center field. Fernando threw like 147 pitches, and he won the game 5-4. And they went on to win the series in 4 straight games. 96, the Yankees get destroyed the first 2 games. Embarrassed. You know the story. George is going crazy. He goes into the Yankee office. What are we going to do, Joe? What are we going to do? And Joe says, listen, Atlanta's my town. We're going to go down there. We're going to win 3 games in a row, and we're going to come back and win the series in 6. And George looked at him like he had 2 heads. Well, they went down there, and they needed some unbelievable play. They needed a huge Leyritz home run and incredible bullpen work. They needed one of the classic games ever from Andy Pettitte in a 1-0 Game 5 against John Smoltz. Smoltz told me in an interview that was the best game he ever pitched. One of the great baseball games ever. And then the Yankees won Game 6 in 96, which I have told you many times, is the loudest I ever heard Yankee Stadium in my entire life, going back to the early 60s, going back to the days of Mickey Mantle, going back all the way through. It's the loudest I ever heard. I was sitting that night behind the Yankee, about 4 rows behind the Yankee dugout. And when Joe Girardi hit the triple off Maddox in the game the Yankees won 3-2, the stadium was shaking. I turned around and looked at it behind home plate and down the third baseline, and the stadium was shaking. It was so loud. It was the loudest I've ever heard Yankee Stadium. And remember, the Yankees got destroyed in games 1 and 2, came back and won 4 straight games, including 1-0 in game 5, including from 6 runs back in game 3, including 3-2 in game 6, and beat a great Atlanta Brave team that was a heavy, it's like a 2.5 to 1 favorite before the series started. And that's why 96 is my all-time favorite Yankee year, and that's the pink Cadillac, that's the great comeback and everything else, okay? But I just gave you 3 series where the team went down 2-0 and came back and won the series. It is doable, but there's no more margin of error. The Yankees are going to have to win game 3 under any circumstances. And to realistically have to really think they're going to actually win the series, they're going to have to win the 3 games at Yankee Stadium. I mean, if they go back there down 3 games to 2, they got a chance, but it's not a good one. But it starts with game 3. That's all you're thinking about. Monday at Yankee Stadium, game 3. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we don't even have a Wednesday yet. But game 3 is what this is all about. Now, to what the storylines are. The obvious storyline is Judge. Here he is, the all-world player, coming off an immortal season with a history of not being great in the postseason. And now his struggles have magnified in the World Series, where right now he's 1 for 9 with 6 strikeouts, and he has had a terrible postseason. But right now, let's deal on the World Series. He's 1 for 9. And 6 Ks, and if he did anything in the 9th inning today, the way things were going, they might have come back and rallied to take a lead in that game. Soto gives you big at bat after big at bat. Stanton gives you big at bat. See, to me, when Stanton is getting base hits and making good contact, that's when he's most dangerous, because he's always going to knock balls out of the ballpark. But when he's having good at bats, like he did there, and that was a hell of an at-bat, it just shows you what you're getting from him right now. Now, there's not much you can do for Judge. You're not going to change anything about the top of the Yankee order. That's not even a discussion. The Yankees' top 6 on Wednesday is going to be Torres, Soto, Judge, Stanton, Chisholm, who's had a good series so far, and Rizzo. And Rizzo's cagey. He knows how to slap it the other way. He doesn't have any power anymore. But he gets on base. He walks. He gets hit by pitches, which we know. I mean, so there's not much you can do with Volpe. He's going to hit fastballs. He's going to struggle on curveballs. The question is, would you make any changes with Wells and give Trevino a shot? Because Wells has been awful. Would you give Trevino a night to get some at-bats? And then would you take Verdugo out and put the Martian in and see if he has a big game? You're giving up defense there. There's no question. He could wind up blowing a fly ball there with a couple of guys on and cost you a couple of runs. He could also hit 2 home runs. He hasn't played much, which is tough on him. But do you do something like that? It's a flip of a coin. I think the more likely move is he'd give Trevino a night to see if he can get a couple of hits. They don't have lefty starters, you know that. So you're really going against righties. That's why they'll probably play well. So odds are, I don't have a problem if he makes a change at 8 or 9. He's not going to make a change anywhere else in the lineup. The bottom of the lineup's been bad. You're going to ride Volpe. You're going to ride everybody else. They're not moving Judge. Moving Judge is a ridiculous idea. That's not happening. It's not. happening. They're going down in 4 straight with Judge. I don't care if he strikes out every time up. He's Judge. That is not happening. Does Judge need to turn it around? Yes. Judge is going to fly home into a volcano. The team is down 2 games to nothing. He's the guy, even more than Soto, even more than Stanton. He's the guy. And right now, he is struggling mightily. And let's be honest, on this grand stage right now, he's pressing. Don't listen. I understand Boone's not going to say it. Boone's going to give you, well, his timing's just a little off, and it's a mechanism, and he's almost there. Hey, nonsense. He looks awful. He's in between, which you've heard from A-Rod, which you've heard from Girardi. A-Rod texts me times during the games. A-Rod says he's in between, and he's losing his confidence. Hey, we all know that. You lose your confidence too. If you're a great player and all of a sudden you're in a slump, you're pressing. You want to do well. You want to carry the team. You want to fulfill your destiny. You want to fulfill your role. You're playing in front of the world here. Nobody wants to put one in the seats more than he does. Nobody wants to hit a 3-run jack more than he does. So yes, he's pressing. Any human being in that spot would be pressing. It's human nature. Is he going to come out of it? I don't know. We're going to find out. This is a short sampling. It happens. When it happens to you in this spot, when you're the MVP, when you were just, impossible to get out all year, and you almost hit 60 homers and you knocked in 140 plus runs, hey, there are expectations. They're not making any changes of any real meaning. They could give Trevino some swings. They could give Verdugo a night off and look for some pop out of left field, but odds are he's probably not going to do either of that because that's not their way. Their way is status quo. It has been all year. And the bottom line is they need to jump out early. They need to have the Dodgers say, hey, we're not wasting our good pitchers. We're not going to give you our A relievers tonight. We'll see you for game 4. That's what you want to happen. You want to build a 5-0, 6-1 lead and have the Dodgers say, hey, we're going to get some innings out of the starters so that we don't burn our pen, and then we're going to give you the B and C relievers. And we'll see you game 4. Dodgers know. Now, they want to put the hammer down, obviously. But they also know all they have to do is come to Yankee Stadium and win 1 out of 3. And they don't technically even have to do that. But they've already guaranteed a trip back to L.A., but they don't want to fool around with that. They want to at least win 1 game at Yankee Stadium. They'd like to win it early and then see if they can close this thing out. But 1 win puts them in the driver's seat. We know that. So you want them to give up game 3. You want to make it a no-brainer. You don't want to have them with a day of rest in between giving you their A closes in the 8th and 9th inning of a 1-run game where you desperately need to win the game. Now, I'm sure there are a ton of fans who are going to pound on every Yankee who's struggling right now. It's the way it works. That's what happens when you're in the big game. Fans get frustrated. I'm sure there's some Yankee fans who are going to jump ship right now. Don't. I just gave you 3 series. The last 2 they've ever played against the Dodgers were both 2-love, and the team that was down 2-0 won the next 4 games both times. It can be done. It has been done. Yes, it's 80% of the times because when one team is dominant and they win in 4 straight or they win in 5, they're usually up 2-love. But there's a lot of series where series turn after they're up 2-love. The Yankees in 96 lost the first 2 games at home. They didn't just lose, they got embarrassed. And they came back and won 4 straight games against a tremendous team, tremendous pitching, and they won a 1-0 game 5 and a 3-2 game 6. They got clutch hitting, and they got brilliant relief pitching. Absolutely brilliant. That's what it takes. It takes guys coming up and getting big hits now in big spots. The Yankees haven't done that yet. They've gotten good at bats. Stanton's had good at bats in this series. Chisholm's had some good at bats in the series. Soto's had very good at bats in this series, but not enough of them. And the bottom of the order, hey, all year the Yankees have tried to get offense out of the bottom of the order. It has struggled. It has absolutely struggled. You know that. The Dodgers are deeper. They're deeper because of what Kiki does in the postseason, and because of Teoscar, because of what they've gotten from Edman, who destroys left-handed pitching, and a guy like Max Muncy, who's a big-time player in the postseason. He's a good player. First of all, he's a big-time player in the postseason. That gives them a lot of length. They have more length than the Yankees have in the lineup. We know that. And they have deeper guys in the bullpen. We know that too. The Yankee edge was in the starting pitching, and right now it hasn't happened. I never expected Yamamoto to go out there and pitch into the 7th inning tonight. I did not expect that. And he was utterly brilliant. And early on, it looked like he was going to, it was 3-2 on every hitter. It looked like he was going to, throw 100 pitches in 4 innings. He settled down dramatically after the Soto home run and showed you the glimpses of why he was so special. Got paid $300 million. And there were teams running to pay him that. The Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers. That was a big night for him tonight. Now, the Ohtani injury. And I could be wrong about this. My feeling was that Ohtani was more embarrassed than he was injured, because I didn't see him injure himself. I didn't see his wrist get caught. I didn't see him really pop the shoulder. I did not see a major injury. If he has one, I'll be very surprised. Now, I'm not saying he was faking it. Maybe he got jawed there, but watching it a couple of times, I just didn't see it. So I would expect him to be in the lineup. I'd be kind of stunned if he's not. Now, maybe he did something fluky and he, popped the shoulder or something. I don't know. But it sure didn't look it. So I would expect him to be in the lineup. And tonight, Betts and Teoscar and that man again, Freddie Freeman. And I told you before the start of the series how Freeman was going to be really key, because you know how good Freeman can be. If you've been a big Met fan, you know how devastating he has been to the Mets. Him being a killer in a big spot is not a surprise. He is a tremendous baseball player. But he looked like a mummy in the Mets series. He couldn't even swing the bat. And now, whatever they're doing, the miracles of modern medicine, a couple of days of rest, whatever they're doing, he legs out a triple last night. Wasn't really a triple, but they called it a triple. And hits 2 home runs in 2 nights after not getting an extra base hit. He has a triple and 2 homers in 2 games after not getting an extra base hit for a month. And he can be very, very tough. Hey, the Dodgers are a really good team. If you want to say they were a little better than the Yankees this year, that's fine. Yankees were erratic. They weren't great. But they could win this thing, and they can still win this thing. Have they cut their margin? Yes, they have to win Game 3. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They have to win Game 3. And they want to come out and jump all over a pitcher who hasn't been good. And they want to come out and, like I said, make the Dodgers say, hey, we'll see you tomorrow night. You're not seeing our relievers tonight. and never let the game get close. Keep a working margin, keep a 4 or 5 run lead, and keep the good relievers pinned to the bench, add on, and then get ready for game 4. And then, hey, it's one inning at a time now. But, folks, this has happened plenty of times. I just gave you chapter and verse of 2 Dodgers series and the great 96 series where it happened. We've seen it happen. Now, are we expecting to see anything like we saw in 2004? No. That was a very strange situation, as you know. I'm not going to relive it right now, but if you want to, let me give the Barnacle guys a pop. It's doing great. It was trending very high on Netflix. It's a 3-part series. I have not watched it yet, but I taped hours of stuff with them in the summer about the documentary. I did a couple hours worth of interviews. Look forward to seeing it. I just haven't watched it yet. It's called The Comeback. It's on Netflix right now. But that's too much to ask. They have to win Game 3. To come from 3 back, from 3 down to beat the Dodgers 4 straight. I'm sorry, that's asking. This Yankee team, I don't think is capable of that. But they make the series 2-1, and they're right back in it. They have to win Game 3. They've now left themselves with a must-win situation. But do not, on this Saturday night, cry in your beer and say, "Oh, I just spent all this money for these Yankee tickets and the series is over." It's not over. The old Riley adage, until you lose a home game, blood has not been drawn in the series. I think the Dodgers have drawn some blood. You didn't want to go down 2-love to this team, especially not with Schmidt on the mound in Game 3. But that's where you are right now. You still have a better chance that Schmidt's going to pitch better than Buehler is, but you might not have either one of them there that long. I don't care what it takes. They need to jump all over the Dodgers right away. I expect the stadium to be raucous. I expect the Yankees to be all pumped up. And yes, you have seen Judge explode in the first inning so many times this year. It would be very good for all concerned if he showed that he still has a pulse in this series in the first inning. That would be nothing could be more energetic and more of a boost for the Yankees than to see that happen in inning 1. Soto's at bats have been very, very good. I mean, he has very few bad at bats. Chisholm, who looked terrible earlier in the postseason, has had some good at bats. I thought his at bat in the 9th was great. I mean, that guy's a really good reliever. He battled off some really tough breaking balls and then hit a bullet to right field. Last night, getting that base hit and then stealing second, third was impressive and athletic. Also, he made a great play last night on the Betts P with their infield in and the runner on third base. I don't know how he gloved that because that was an absolute blur. That was a very good play. He is an extremely athletic player. He just has not looked crisp so far in the postseason. But it's a new experience for him. Give him a little bit of a break. We know he's got power. We know he's got great speed. You know he's got a lot of athleticism. And he has been a positive so far. Rizzo's given them productive at bats. He's found his way to the base. He's found his way onto the base paths. They need more from Volpe. And, Verdugo gives it to you in the field, that's for sure. But it's hard to get a whole lot out of him offensively. but I understand why he's playing. I don't expect him. I wouldn't have a problem, like I said, if they shook up the bottom of the lineup. Would not. I could understand it, but if you're looking for some radical change in the lineup, like Judge being moved out of the 3-hole, that is not happening, nor should it happen under any circumstances. Soto, Judge, Stanton, leave it alone. And Torres, he's got more hits than anybody in the series. Tonight he didn't get one; he only had a walk, but he's got more hits than any Yankee in the series. Maybe Soto caught him tonight. We're getting two more. I understand you being down. I understand that if you're a Yankee fan and this is the first time you've actually experienced the World Series, this is not what you were looking for. You got all excited in your classic series, and now here you are before you ever get to Yankee Stadium. Oh, they're down 2-0. They got to win 4 out of 5. The Dodgers are better. I've gotten emails from people already who earlier in the series were telling me that the Yankees were going to roll over the Dodgers, and I said, hey, the Dodgers are really talented, and they beat better teams than the Yankees did to get here, and the Yanks have been a radical year. Just keep that. This is going to be tough. And now they're telling me, oh, it can't be the same. Not going back to L.A. Hey, do not be surprised in the least if they go back to L.A. But understand this. It has to happen in Game 3. There are no more chances there. They'll still be breathing after Game 3, but that's too much to ask. They have to win Game 3. I just gave you 3 big series where the teams came back from 2-0 down, and some really bad performances, a lot worse than the Yankee performances. The Yankees were winning that game with 2 outs in the 10th in Game 1, and they were one swing away from maybe winning tonight's game. So these games were not anything, they weren't one-sided like the first 2 games were against the Braves in '96. You win these games by timely hitting. It's about doing everything at the right time, getting the big strikeout at the right time, making the big defensive play at the right time, getting the big 2-out hit at the right time. That's what wins these games. And the Yanks haven't used their bench very much. They have not utilized guys off the bench. They haven't moved players around. They're really just playing a set group. And some of the guys aren't hitting. But this is the way they've gone about this. They really haven't done a lot of that. And these guys, you haven't seen them play in a while. I didn't expect Wells to hit against lefty. I didn't think he would. I thought they'd pinch hit. I thought Trevino had a good at bat. He's facing a really tough lefty, and he put a good swing on the ball. That's all you can do. You've been sitting there all night. You come up, you try to put a good swing on the ball. That's what he did. Do not despair. Now, I don't know if maybe the Jet game's going to make you feel better tomorrow, because let's be honest, if they can't beat the Pats and beat them handily, I don't care if they have injuries on the offensive line. I don't care if they have injuries in the secondary. The Pats are woeful. They're probably the worst team in the league right now. Go up there and whip them easy tomorrow, and then get ready for the Texans on Thursday night. If you can't do that, there's no reason to even utter the Jets' name again this year. I'll do a podcast after the Jets tomorrow. I'll have some things to say about some of the moves and the presence of Adams and the presence of Reddick and what they're doing right now. I'll save that for tomorrow. Giants are playing Monday night. It's going to get lost in, obviously, all the drama and tension and importance of Game 3. And it's not a good matchup. Just like it wasn't for the Jets, it's not a good matchup for the Giants. It really isn't. although they've played better on the road and their offense has been incredibly more proficient on the road, hey, any offense would be more proficient than the one the Giants have shown at Giant Stadium, where they can't score at all. They play Monday night. So enjoy. Watch a little football tomorrow. Do not yet give up the ghost. This series is not over until the Yankees fail in Game 3. And should they come through in Game 3, it is a whole new series. So Game 3 is a must. What are all those teams that won in 78, 98, 78, 81, 96? What do they all have in common? They all won Game 3, and they all won Game 3, Game 4, Game 5, Game 6. None of them went to Game 7. The team that won the first two lost 4 in a row in all 3 of those series. Everything ended in Game 6. None of them went to Game 7. So I understand you're unhappy. I understand that you're down and and really feeling that this is just too big of a challenge to overcome, that it's just too big a mountain to climb. It looks like that now, because when you sit back and say Yanks have to win 4 out of 5, it sounds insurmountable, but it's not. It's one inning at a time. It's not. But it has to start in Game 3. And somewhere out there, Judge has to find a little of himself, because it's going to be very hard to do it without him. See you tomorrow.